up, guys? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of Trainer Talks with Trainer Dave. Joined by my third guest on Season 3, Chay Toson. Chay, appreciate you being here today.
Let's do it, man.
I'm really excited for this podcast just because pretty much all of my guests have been trainers or gym owners that work primarily with the general population, which nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. But my niche is sports performance and athletes. And so getting somebody that actually works with that demographic primarily, I'm super excited about. So I got a few notes about Chay. So I call him a sports skill coach. Would you?
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say, what would you call yourself? What would you call yourself?
Honestly, just the hitting coach.
Hitting coach, yeah.
I think just that's enough right there. That's more.
Yeah, I guess that's what hitting coach, I guess, to be really precise, but I feel like I would call it a skill trainer, like a basketball trainer, stuff like that. Whereas I'm more like a performance trainer.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
But yeah, to be really exact, you're a softball hitting trainer.
Yeah.
And also the owner of CAGE2 Hitting.
Yeah.
So super excited, but I guess kind of talking about our background. This is actually like the first time we've ever met in person.
Yeah.
I know we've gone back and forth through messages, but another thing that's really awesome kind of connection we have is we are actually, both Hawaiian. So yes. So yeah, like where are you from?
So I'm from the Big Island of Hawaii, which is this one.
Sweet.
Right? So it's just the biggest one landmass wise.
Yeah.
But it's not the most populated.
Gotcha.
However, it's getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty close. But I'm from a small town called Pa'awilo. It's a shout out to all my P-Town peeps. It's a tiny town. Honestly, I don't even know a town here to compare it to, but we have one convenience store connected to a post office, along with a preschool and a middle school, and that's it.
Wow.
So, tiny town.
That apparel is cool. I actually didn't even realize that was the Hawaiian island.
Yeah, everyone. It kind of makes me mad. A couple of my kids have these shirts, and all the shirts have the island chain on it.
Yeah.
And they'll come to the cages and be like, someone thought it was a paint stain.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, you let them know that ain't no damn paint stain.
No, that's cool. That's awesome.
That's kind of funny.
And how long did you live in Hawaii for?
I'm born and raised, so all the way up until college.
Okay.
So I've only started living in Kansas till full time since 2019.
Sweet.
Yep.
Okay. And yeah, like what brought you to Kansas?
I get that question a lot. So I finished my last 2 years of college ball down at Southwestern. So it was the two options were San Jose State or Southwestern. And I know it sounds crazy, but Southwestern just gave the best offer. I knew I wasn't getting drafted. That was out the door. So I was just going where the money was, and they gave the best offer. And here I am, close
6 years later? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty under 10 years.
Yeah.
But I knew I wasn't getting drafted, and I knew, soon after my career was done, I have to start my life. So here I am in Kansas, and honestly, I've loved it ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess that's kind of another similarity we have. I was a Friends Falcon, so we're both familiar. We're both from the NAIA KCAC conference. But yeah, talk about like your athletic background. So was it college baseball you played?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, you played 4 years of college baseball?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get any like all conference or anything like that?
So out of high school, we'll just start from high school. So high school was fun. Kind of bums me out when I hear people here saying, hey, I'm not going to play high school, whatever. I had a great time in high school. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But high school was great. Ended my career there being the BIF D2 Player of the Year. So I was kind of riding a high going into college, felt good, and then I kind of got a little humbled when I signed to play at Arizona Western, which is a D1 JUCO. They're well known for football, and I guess you could say baseball as well. Got a little humbled there, and I ended up going to Olympic College in Washington. Was coming off of a PCL tear, so I didn't really do much, honestly. It wasn't until I got to Southwestern where I kind of, I guess, produced to what I could. And I got 2 honorable mentions in a row. It was weird. My junior and senior year, I almost replicated my stats.
Oh, wow.
Almost down to the hits.
Wow.
Which was like, yeah, I guess this is the peak right here.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, ended with 2 honorable mentions, KCAC honorable mentions. I think the coach said it. I think it was honorable mention. Yeah, it was honorable mention.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
But,
no, not bad. And yeah, I kind of have a similar background. I played 2 years at Coffeyville Community College. And so, yeah, I'm very familiar with Arizona Western. They are a football school. I think they actually no longer have football. Is that right?
yes.
They got rid, yeah.
They got rid of that, I think, a year or 2 ago, which is wild to me because they were, other than baseball and like volleyball, I'd say, they were known for football.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, kind of talk about the transition from high school to JUCO. You said you kind of got humbled. Like, how hard do you think the competition truly was at the JUCO level?
Well, Arizona is a hot spot for baseball, and I knew that when I signed to play at Arizona Western. But the transition, well, this one was kind of tough because, and this is where the way that I approach the coaching part kind of comes into play. Because I thought going into my freshman year, I had my group of boys back home that we'd hit every day. You know, we were out on field every day. We would do our runs. We would swim like every single day, other than the weekends. I went in and thought I was ready. Like I'm not the biggest guy. I wasn't, I wasn't going to knock it out of the park every single time. I thought I was ready. Physically, mentally, I was ready. And then I got to college, especially in Arizona, Our center fielder was a Gatorade Player of the Year for baseball.
Wow.
A second baseman got drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals, who also ended up signing to FIU along with our third baseman. The two other left fielders that I was splitting time with, one was 6'4", just hit bombs. The other one was just as fast as I was. So it was an eye opener, but it was an eye opener even though I knew the competition was going to be stiff.
Yeah, no.
We had a little bit of depth even through the bench as well. And it was, the minute you plugged them into the lineup, they're producing immediately. And it was humbling, but it was good. I needed it because through high school, I started from my freshman year, and it was not easy, but easy in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, no, because, I have a very similar story. I played football at Coffeyville, and it's like, you get to college and like everybody's good.
Everyone is good.
Especially at the JUCO level, because that's where you get a lot of Division I bounce backs, or the people that probably should have went Division I, but they didn't have the grades.
Yep.
So it really is an eye opener. But like, how did your experience at the JUCO level? How did that translate to the KCAC? Like, did you feel like the competition at the KCAC was a step down, or what were your thoughts on that?
Well, the difference, and I'm going to compare Arizona, and this is no disrespect to Olympic or Pacific Northwest, but Arizona is just a hotter spot for baseball compared to, in my opinion, Washington State. So when I was in Arizona, it was a heavy hitters conference. So yes, we would typically see anywhere from 85 to 95 any weekend for pitchers. But their number 2 was mid 80s, so it wasn't too bad. However, when I switched over to the KCAC, it was more of a pitchers conference than it was a hitters conference. This is just my opinion. I thought I saw better pitching and a lot more depth in pitching than I did in Arizona. So being a non-pitcher, competing against all these other hitters, it was, I saw a lot more hitters. I saw a lot more hitters who could do a lot more things that I could, hit home runs, steal 30 bases in a season, But then when I got to KCAC, it was more pitcher dominant. And again, that's just my opinion.
Gotcha.
I'm going to get someone who's going to watch this. Yeah. That's But no, that's, I don't know. I think the mentality is what helped me the most, though. Because JUCO it's a
grind.
It's a grind.
It is.
And JUCO route is a real thing.
Yeah.
And the grind, whenever you hear people say the grind is real in JUCO, it's real. Because the thing about like D1, D2, D3, anything in the NCAA, there's regulations
Yes.
on how many hours you can practice, that kind of stuff. How many hours you can spend with your coach. JUCO don't care, baby.
It's like,
JUCO
yeah.
does not care. There ain't no rules. You're up at 5 lifting, and then you're done at 9 at night. JUCO does not care.
Yeah.
But I think just preparing for the grind of the 4-year and the mentality that I had to bring is what was the biggest transition.
Yeah. No, yeah. We're very well said. I mean, and that's true, KCAC, they do have competition. And I think people might like look down upon NAIA, KCAC, but it's like there really is a lot of competition.
I think no matter what level you go to. And I think until you've been there, until you've experienced any level, whether it's JUCO, NAIA, D1, whatever, no matter what level you play at, there's dogs everywhere. Like even the ones that you think aren't dogs they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Very well said. You're right. The mentality of going from JUCO to KCAC is like probably what sets JUCO products apart, because you nailed it. Like there is no limitations or regulations in JUCO. And I don't know how Arizona Western was, but I know a lot of these Kansas JUCOs, like you're in the middle of nowhere, El Dorado, Garden City, not the nicest dorms, terrible calf food. And you really learn how much you love that sport you're playing.
If you don't love it, that whatever game you're playing will eat you up.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, anything.
Yeah.
So you really got to love it when you're in JUCO because the grind is real. It's really real.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder what the percentage of how many JUCO athletes actually can stick it out. Because I know, like when I played football at Coffeyville, we had an insane amount of kids quitting.
Yeah. And it was always before the season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was always right before the season. And then you would have your transfers who came in, but that wasn't much.
Yeah.
But the people who quit, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's real, man.
Yeah. So we're talking about our athletic backgrounds, but I'm just curious, like, how important do you think having an athletic background is as a coach like us that works with aspiring athletes, college athletes?
I think it's really important. I think it's really important, if not the most important, because what you get from learning, like going through the process of the failures, the grind of the day-to-day grind, what you obtain from that is far greater than what you get with the skill in itself. If that makes any sense. I know what I'm trying to say. I don't feel like I relayed that very well. But the mentality of I'll put it this way. There's not everyone's a robot, and not everyone can produce on command. Not everyone's always going to be 100%. And I feel like you understand that a little bit more when you've gone through the process of the grind.
Yeah.
The day-to-day, the stuff that you're supposed to do every single day.
Yeah.
And what you get from that is what coaches who maybe, let's just say coaches who haven't played maybe at a high level, I feel like that's what they miss.
Absolutely.
Is just the connection part.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe they are able to teach the skill part, but sometimes, a lot of the time, which I've been seeing lately, they miss the mentality part. They miss the person, the personality part, or the person to person is what they miss. And I feel like that's a lot more important than the skill in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's hard to say if it's the most important thing as a coach, but it is, I think it is very important. And kind of like you said, it just helps number one, it helps your credibility.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I think, especially these days, athletes are more likely to listen to, like I ran a volleyball camp today with Division I volleyball players running it. Like, I think young athletes are more likely to listen to that than somebody like me.
Yeah.
So that, number one, it's the credibility. But like you said, just the knowledge of the grind, like, we like, for something I can think about is like kind of like maybe empathy a little bit.
Yes.
Like,
I think that's the word I was looking
for. Yeah, I think so. And that's good. But like, as a sports performance trainer that runs strength conditioning, like, I know what it's like to, after a football game, to be just physically beat. Yeah. And so if I have a softball team come in after a scrimmage and they're beat, like I kind of know what that feels like, and I can tone down the workout. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You know how to work around it. You know how to get the most out of, what their 100% that day is maybe a 60%. You know how to get all 60% out of them in that day.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to say.
No, that was I knew what you were trying to say.
It's been hard this
you're good.
week.
And I mean, do you still ever hop in there and kind of demo?
Man, sometimes you gotta let these kids know. Yeah. Especially the kids that I have, they like to talk shit, Dave. They like to let me have it sometimes. So sometimes I'll put the gloves on.
Yeah.
I can't really walk the next day. My back hurts the next day. But sometimes you gotta let them know.
Yeah. No.
Not a whole lot anymore. But
no, I think that's another thing about being an athlete is when we can demo really well and when we can kind of step in sometimes, and if they're talking smack, show them what's up. Show them we still got it.
My kids are comfortable with me, and they let me know sometimes, but it's all fun.
Yeah. So I gotta ask, why do you specialize in softball hitting lessons instead of baseball?
So honestly, I don't specialize in softball. That's just kind of how it worked out. I actually didn't even want to be a coach. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't even want to be a coach. I still even don't really consider myself a full-blown coach. But I actually didn't want to, and then I ended up getting not roped in. I sound like I was forced to, but I ended up getting pulled into helping a local travel team here in Wichita. And I loved it. Honestly, I loved it. I loved it, but I quickly realized how behind these girls are. Maybe not so much in the physical aspect, but the mental and just the knowledge of the game part.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until then to where I wanted to, kind of help the kids. However, I didn't want to coach after my experience, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, have you worked with baseball?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sorry, I completely ignored your question.
No, you're good.
So what I was kind of going off of that was I ended up helping a softball team, and my name in the softball, I guess, community just kind of got out more and more, and the softball, it kind of just happened. But when I started in Winfield, I had more baseball kids than I had softball. But when I started helping the travel team, it kind of flip-flopped. It just naturally, I never really marketed towards softball because essentially it's the same swing. And I will argue with anyone on that. I will absolutely argue with anyone on that.
I believe you.
But it's the same swing. That's just kind of how it happened, though. I don't know.
I gotcha. I mean, if you had a preference, like, would you rather work with male athletes or female athletes? Or do you even have a preference?
I don't really have a preference. I do have a preference now because baseballs are expensive. And I have more softballs now. So
okay, there you go. That makes sense. Yeah.
So I have maybe about a half a bucket of baseballs, and then I have 3 wagons worth of softballs.
Okay.
So if I get more baseball, I'm gonna have to buy more baseballs, and it's like baseballs are expensive. So maybe we kind of stick with softball. But I don't have a preference.
I gotcha.
I would say this: when it comes to the boys, all they want to do is hit bombs. They want to have flow, they want to have swag, and they want to hit bombs. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the girls, they like to break it down. They like to understand, and I think that kind of works with me because that's my whole thing is I want you to know why we do something.
Yeah.
But the boys are just like, I don't care. Well, how do I hit bombs?
No, you nailed it. I mean, because I work with both boys and girls as well. I mean, it's very similar in the sports performance world. It's like guys want to put as much weight on the bar, see how much they can lift. Whereas like girls, I think they're more down to learn.
Yes.
They want to understand the process. And I kind of feel like they are more coachable, to be quite honest.
Yeah, a little bit.
But no, I like working with both. And I mean, what do you have a percentage of like male athletes and female athletes you work with right now?
Ooh. So right now I have, on a weekly basis, I see 54 kids.
Oh wow, that's insane.
Every week they have their set time, they have their set day.
Wow.
2 of them are baseball.
Okay.
Actually, it's more like 1 of them right now because the other one is we're taking a little break right now. And then the rest are all softball.
Wow.
So actually technically I have 1 baseball right now.
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't even know. I mean, I didn't even know you worked with baseball. I thought it was just exclusively softball.
No. I don't know. It just this is how it kind of naturally happened.
Yeah. But I'll be honest, like I think the softball market is probably a lot hotter. Like it's just like with parents And we'll talk more about parents in depth, but that makes sense. And I think as a as a sports performance coach or a sports skill coach like you are, you kind of have to be open to working with just about anything, not just the sport you play.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing with me. Like I used to play football. I mean, I work with three football kids right now, and the rest are all other sports.
Mm-hmm.
And so, being open to working with other sports, I think, is crucial.
Honestly, the one thing I noticed when I get multi-sport athletes, which I love when I get multi-sport athletes because their bodies move a little bit different. Maybe it's not as refined in a specific movement, but when it comes to, stuff like the hand speed, leg drive, all that kind of stuff, it comes almost natural to them.
Yeah.
And which is perfect for me because we don't got to work on it. It's already there. We just kind of got to move it in the right direction. So yeah, I agree. Being open to working with other sports and everything is, in my sense, is great.
Yeah, and I feel like multi-sport athletes, they just learn faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their body awareness is a lot better, is what I started to notice.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll kind of talk about your coaching philosophy, and we've already kind of dived into this a little bit, but how many hours a week do you currently coach?
Ooh, I think I'm in the cages anywhere from 15 to 20 hours.
Okay.
Summer season is a little bit different because that's when all the tournaments are, like on the weekends and stuff. So the schedule always fluctuates. But if I had to put a number on it, it's about 15 to 20 hours a week.
Okay.
In the cages. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. I think that's a good chunk of hours. Yeah. And so do you currently don't coach any actual teams right now?
No, I've gotten asked to by a couple independent teams as well as a couple organization teams. And I'm still thinking about it, honestly, because I'd also love the coaching part of the, working through the games, the tournaments and stuff. But I love the one-on-one, the group lessons. I love that. So yeah, I'm still thinking about it. I have a couple people who reached out, but
yeah, gotcha. And so you said one-on-ones or groups, like, so do you mainly do one-on-ones, groups, or is it maybe 50-50?
So at first, when I first started, it was majority one-on-ones. And as I started to grow more and more on the business side, I started to realize how, and it's not that I realized it, I kind of understood that, hitting, it takes a while because you're trying to unlearn something that maybe another hitting coach or a coach has taught you while trying to learn something new. So just like any other sport, some things take a while. And so what I started to do is I started to pair kids. That way you still get my attention, but I'm able to bring price down.
Yeah.
Because I know we're going to have to do this for more than 2 weeks. I know ideally 2 weeks our problems will be fixed. That's just not how it works. But in order for us to do this kind of long term, I had to bring price down.
Yeah.
And that's not even me talking to parents. That's just me understanding we're going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to do the two that helps me bring price down.
Gotcha.
It just helps.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so you work with more than 2 kids at a time, or is it you try to keep it to 2?
I try to keep it to 2.
Yeah.
There was last year where I hired a couple of my girls so that we could do groups of 4. And it went okay for what it was. But I didn't think they got the most out of it, so I cut that this year.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's cool because it seems like you're really focused on coaching quality.
Yes.
Because there's some trainers that will bring in, 4, 5, 10 kids at once, and it's like it seems more like a money grab.
Yeah, and and that's kind of part of the reason that I run late all the time. Is because until I'm satisfied with how the session went or how the session ended, I don't let kids go. And I mean, the parents kind of know that. They kind of understand that already is they get released when I'm satisfied. And that just goes back to the whole quality thing. You know what I mean? Until I feel like you got your money's worth, then you can go.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
And it's not in like I'm holding your kids hostage. If you're going to spend money on me, I want you to make sure they go home and they learned something.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I mean, do you have a session time limit? Like, is it normal? Like, ideally, is it an hour session?
Yes. Yes, I do hour sessions. I don't do 30 minutes unless we're on a time crunch. If you're on my weekly schedule and you're on a time crunch, I'll do a half an hour for you. I have kind of a built what's the word? Like, not rundown, but like a shorter version of our typical routine. What's the told you, man.
No, that
Talking
makes
is
sense. No,
hard.
you're
It's like,
good. You're good.
but I have kind of a shorter version of our typical routine. And if you're on my weekly list, I'll let you do a 30-minute. But if you're a new kid and you're looking for 30 minutes, I don't do 30 minutes. I feel like then it would become a money grab.
I gotcha.
You know?
Yeah. Do you have a cool success story from an athlete that you can share that sticks out to you?
Success story. I do want to shout out, she's one of my youngest kids. Her name is Aria Hadley. And she is, if not the hardest working kid, one of the hardest working kids. She's 10. She's 11. She's 10 or 11. I always mess this up. But every time, like for some reason, she's one of the only kids who's always in the facility with her parent, doing extra work, pitching, hitting, whatever. But a cool success story is that just last year, she threw a no-hitter. It was either a no-hitter or perfect game. Just like the age, I can never remember. But in nationals last summer.
Wow.
And to win the national championship. And she threw a no-hitter, perfect game, whatever it was. And she's 10.
Wow.
11.
That's awesome.
Whatever. But she's one of my hardest working kids. And when you meet the mom and the dad, she's bought in and they're bought in as well.
Sweet.
So it kind of just goes back to it starts at home.
Yeah, it does.
But that is one success story that comes to mind, and shout out to Aria.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
Kid is great, parents are great.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. What would you say is your favorite part about being a coach?
Oh, when it clicks.
Yeah,
when it clicks.
Yeah, seeing those light bulb moments.
Yes. Hitting is hard. And there's going to be there's a lot of emotion in hitting because nobody likes to put in all this work and fail.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're working on a movement or we're working on let's just say some pitch selection stuff, whatever we're working on, and it clicks and like a genuine, oh, okay, I get it. For me, that's the most rewarding, along with when I get the text over the weekend of the parents sending me video of them getting a nice base hit up the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, blah, 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 hit a home run. Or even some of my kids will text me a video of their hit, their swing, and it's, that to me is rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very rewarding.
Yeah, no, because I get the same thing, and maybe in a different way because I don't do the skill training. But when somebody says, I was the fastest on my team or something like that, that's what makes me want to keep doing it. So, yeah, that's awesome. What would you say is your hardest part about being a coach?
Hardest part? Honestly, the scheduling.
I bet.
The scheduling is the worst part. It's not even, I wouldn't even say going to the cages, even sweating. I love that. I love getting in the trenches with the kids. I love that, and a lot of the time when they're starting to get lazy because it's hot, it's like, hey, I'm hot too.
Yeah,
I'm here with you too,
Yeah.
So, and the one of the things that the kids can't say is that I never did it. I was in your position, sweating my ass off in the cage.
That's
too,
true.
So, but the hardest part, whether it's business or coach-wise, is scheduling movements when people got to cancel, when people need a new day.
Absolutely.
That is the hard. And right now, I'm be honest, I'm struggling with it.
You bring, no, that's a great point. I think it's like, the hours is maybe what I would say. And I tell people all the time, and I'm glad you get it, because I tell people that work with adults, I don't think it's training athletes is way different, because I feel like, number one, athletes' schedules are pretty crazy. They've got high school strength conditioning or, club tournaments, camps, showcases. And so having to schedule around those things. And then you're also, a lot of times you're having to go through the parents too.
Yep.
And that's really, really challenging. And then, I don't know. You deal with a lot of late cancellations?
Honestly, no.
Okay. It's good.
No, because my parents are solid.
That's good.
I think the parents that I work with, they're all solid. And I think they see how, for me, big, how it's gotten.
Yeah.
And they understand that the earlier that they can let me know, the better.
Yeah.
Now, however, sometimes you do have a late cancellation. Something will happen.
Yeah.
Life happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in that case, it is what it is. But when it comes to just relaying, hey, I'm gonna be out this day.
Yeah.
The parents that I work with are solid when
That's
it comes
awesome.
to that stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
It's me. The hard part is me remembering, hey, I gotta reschedule, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I get caught up in, the day-to-day stuff. And
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just curious, like, what do your hours kind of look like? I bet ours look pretty similar. I mean, like, what is it now? Like, now that it's summertime, what hours do you coach?
So I work 6:30 to 5, and then I do lessons 5:30 to like 9:30.
Wow.
Yeah, and that Monday through Thursday.
Okay. And so do you take appointments Friday, Saturday, or Sunday?
So I've had to recently open up Fridays, just a couple sessions. I've recently opened up a couple Fridays, and then Sunday I also do lessons on Sunday. From first session is at 7:30, which is my girl Harper. She is 10,
Okay.
11, same thing as Aria.
Yeah,
I can never remember the younger ages.
Yeah.
But she comes ready to go. 7:30, ready to go.
So on Sunday?
On a Sunday.
Wow.
Like,
Dedicated.
comes in smiling.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
that's awesome.
You're the perfect one.
That is, absolutely.
But then on Sundays, I'll usually go on a full day, would be 7:30 to 2:30.
On a Sunday?
On a Sunday.
Wow. And like, when you do like 7:30 to 2:30 or 5:30 to 9:30, is that usually just back to back to back, or are there any breaks ever?
No breaks, just back to back to back.
Yeah.
I typically like to bring in the next session about 10 minutes before. They're supposed to be warming up if they're watching this. They're supposed to be using that 10 minutes to warm up, but none of them really do. They just sit by the cage and kind of stretch out,
Yeah.
But that's how I kind of overlap it. However, sometimes I run late. Sometimes I run over. Sometimes, sometimes I start late. I get to the cages late from work. But for the most part, it's back to back to back.
That's good. Yeah, I'm jealous because the thing I hate the most is when I have random breaks in between clients. Like, I hate it. And that's like part of the hours. Or like, I don't know if you ever have to do any split days where you're there for a couple hours in the morning, then you have a big gap, and then you go back in the evening.
So I do that on Thursdays. I typically work Monday through Thursday. However, we're a little slow at work, so I got my hours cut for a little bit. It's for now until we get some stuff that come in. But what I do on Thursdays is I have a morning session, which are the drop-ins. So people who have been on the wait list, people who have heard of me that want to work with me, that's their opportunity to get in. Because my weekly list is my weekly list, and that's my priority.
Right.
So what I've been doing is 8 to 12 are drop-ins. And then I'll take maybe a 2-hour break, and I'll start my normal sessions at 2.
Okay.
I'll go 2 to 5 or 2 to 6, depending on who I got that day.
Yeah.
And that's my normal sessions. I just move them up because summertime and they're home already. So
Yeah.
that's the only split day that I have, but it's
you.
not like I bet it's nothing like your split
Probably,
days.
yeah, probably
It's
not.
probably nothing like that.
Yeah, but it's still a grind.
Yeah.
How many sessions in a day do you think you can run before or back to back that before you get burnt out? Or do you feel like that burnout? Like, do you ever struggle with burnout at all?
I do struggle with burnout. I do struggle because I'm really big on wanting to help everyone.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have a hard time saying no.
Yeah.
But I struggle with burnout because I put a lot into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't ever go there. Some days I'm tired and, maybe the kid doesn't get 100,000% out of me, but I never go there saying, I'm just going to take this money and then we're good. It's always, I'm always investing into the kid.
That's awesome.
Whether it's 100% is normal or, 50%, because I'm exhausted, but I do get burnt out. And I feel like if I treated it like a money grab, I don't think I get burnt out, but I get burnt out because of the investment.
Yeah, that's really well said. You pour so much of yourself into that athlete or that, and no, it really is kind of, it can be draining, but No, that says
And
a
it's
lot.
nothing. It's nothing towards the kids.
Yeah,
Like,
no, yeah.
the kids don't do anything. It's
Uh-huh.
just, we're human.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we're coaches and stuff, but we're also human. We
Yeah.
get tired, we get,
Yeah.
irritated, we get all of that,
Yeah.
but it has nothing to do with the kids. It's just
Yeah.
you invest a lot into something for a long time, you eventually start to get a little tired. You just need maybe a week off and then you're good,
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
me anyway.
No, I agree, and I think coaching is so incredibly rewarding, but I would also argue is very exhausting
Yeah.
mentally, especially when you're pouring your heart and soul into kids, it does drain you a little bit.
Yeah.
What about imposter syndrome? Do you ever feel like, am I really the coach to be coaching these kids at all?
No. No. I understand that I may not be everyone's coach. I may not be the coach for everyone. However, I think if I didn't believe in what I taught,
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
would rub off on the kid.
Yeah.
And I don't, and this is trying to be as humble as possible. I trust what I teach,
Yeah.
However, what I teach is not for everyone.
Yeah. No.
And keeping the view that way, I guess kind of keeps me away from that imposter syndrome.
Yeah. No, that's very well said. I mean, no, because I'm the same way. Like, I struggle with imposter syndrome a little bit, and then maybe it's not even imposter syndrome. Maybe it is like this kid is not the right fit for me.
So I've seen you talk about that before. Why is that?
What's the question again?
Like, why do you feel that way? Because I've seen you talk about it before, and I guess from outside looking into you.
That's a tough one. I think it just, like I said, it depends on the athlete. Like I just took the gig I took a assistant strength coach position at New Mid, and but when I first got there, like sometimes like I worked with the softball team, I worked with men's soccer,
Mm-hmm.
and those were challenges because I am a former athlete, but I've never played those sports.
Yeah.
And they both had their struggles. I'll just be honest, like men's soccer is a lot of internationals. So I felt like connecting with them on a personal level was a challenge. And then softball, I love working with female athletes, but sometimes I feel like, again, connecting with a female athlete as a male coach can be a challenge. So just little things like that. At the end of the day, I still believe in what I coach and I give my best effort, but and maybe that's just me overthinking these things. Like maybe those kids love me deep down, but I feel like you have those doubts and that imposter syndrome every now and then. And for me, it just depends on the athlete that I'm coaching.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I've seen you talk about it before. I'm like, really? Because just like I said, just from the outside looking in, I feel like the kids you work with, just from the stuff you post and all that kind of stuff, it seems like they love you. So,
well, yeah, I appreciate
that's why I was
that.
like, what do you mean, dude?
I appreciate that. Yeah. I feel like I feel like I probably just post the good, and there's I don't always post the.
Yes, it's not always sunshine and rainbows,
for sure. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the business side because you technically are a business owner.
Ooh, I got all the bottom of the.
Oh yeah. So how long has CAGE2 been in business for?
I would say since I had to rebuild, because I used to live in Winfield, and that's where it kind of started. CAGE2 wasn't really a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like the main thing. But I would say it's been run like a business since 2023.
Okay,
I would say.
No,
I would say that's when it was like, okay, more people are coming.
Nice.
I got to start treating it like a business, or else my time's just going to be wasted. You know what I mean? I would say 2023 is the year.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much same here. Because I've been coaching and training athletes for almost 6 years.
You said you started at YMCA?
YMCA.
That's crazy.
And I would argue like my business actually started at the Y, truly, because that's when I started getting my name out, and still to this day I have athletes and clients I train that started with me from the Y. But it's like, I didn't start training it like a business. I didn't file an LLC till 2023. So I'm kind of in that same boat as you.
Crazy.
Why did you name your business CAGE2?
Honestly, I have no idea. I like the number 2. And when I kind of rebuilt in the facility I'm in now, for some reason, The way it's set up is the one to the left. You enter into the hitters area, and the one to the left is cage 1, and the one to the right is cage 2. And I was in the one to the right,
Okay.
but I just so happen to love number 2.
Sweet.
Number 2 is my favorite number.
Yeah.
And so I was like, dude, cage 2. I needed a name. I didn't want to be like Chay Toson's Hitting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't want to be that guy.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I really don't know. It just was cage 2, and it's stuck ever since.
No, I like the name. I mean, yeah, I like you said, I'm a big fan of not putting your name in your business just because, especially if you want to scale long term.
Well, David Acow though.
Yeah.
David Acow Training, that's what
it used to be. And that's my handle.
But like that fits though. You know what I mean? But like Chay Toson Hitting. You know
it's
what I mean? But
yeah. I think, and I did David Acow Training for a while, but I got away from it because like volleyball camp today, I don't want to call it David Acow Training Volleyball Camp,
Yeah.
I feel like that doesn't fit. And so, I think when you're thinking long term, using your name is not a good idea.
Yeah.
But no, that's cool. I like that name. What job do you hold besides CAGE2?
So I'm an engineering/production planner. Engineering/production planner. Yes. I don't know why I had to re-say that again, but I run the master schedule. I work kind of intertwined with the engineering department, and I run the master schedule for the factory at Weckworth. So basically, what we're going to run when we're going to run it.
Okay.
That's as really what the job is.
Yeah. Do you feel like that job in any way has helped you become a better coach?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay. No, and that's fair for you to say, because I have people that were like, I had a guy that was like he worked in like a prison, and he said that job helped him relate more with humans and stuff like that. But
absolutely not. And yeah, if I had to guess, maybe patience and organization. But other than when it comes to like the skill stuff, no.
Yeah. Okay. No, and that's okay.
Not.
That's okay to say. Are there any slower busy times of the year for your business? Like, is softball season a slow time of year, or do you still have quite a bit of lessons?
Oh my God. So funny you ask that, because last year, usually I get slow fall time, winter time, because we're coming off of girls are going back into school. We're coming off of the summer season, tournament season's done, and last year was the first year where not that I started to get more out there, where usually my list kind of gets cut in half. And last year, almost, next to no one jumped off the list. So it was great for me because I just retained all my kids that I've been working with and been building with. A few jumped off, obviously. It wasn't like 100% retention, but typically it's fall wintertime, but that wasn't the case this last year. And I sent out a text to all the parents saying, hey, I'm not kicking your kid off the list, but if you guys do plan to jump off, let me know so I have a good amount of time to get some people in on the wait list and whatnot. And I think one person came back and was like, yeah, we're probably going to jump off.
Oh, wow.
Because, some stuff happened.
Yeah.
And some stuff that I'm not going to talk about. But yeah, everyone else, unless they're holding out on me, peeps, unless they're holding out on me, I'll see them in the fall and see them in the winter.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What about, so between all the coaching, and I mean, do you feel like there's a lot of admin work you have to do for CAGE2? Like the scheduling, the billing?
God. How I started doing it to help simplify everything. How I started doing it was I started asking for monthly payment.
That's smart.
And the reason why I started doing that was because it's either I track 52 payments a week to make sure they paid me, or I see that they paid me the one time.
Yeah.
And then why I started doing that was it made it simpler for it to track.
Yeah.
And I started to charge a cancellation fee.
There you go. Yeah.
Because what I was initially doing, and I know it was the wrong thing to do, but I learned, was I have my paired people, and if someone didn't show up, I treated it like a solo session, but the person who showed up,
they got the partner rate.
They got the solo rate.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Which I did it like that partially because I didn't want to charge a cancellation fee.
Yeah.
This is I'm still in the phase of I'm not treating it like a business.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just I want to keep the peace. I don't want
Yeah.
to make it about money.
Yeah.
But then I started to eat that other half of the rate. I started to lose money because there would be some days where I didn't charge them
No,
because it was a last minute.
I think I know what you're saying, but they would still. So like if a solo rate's 60 and then the partner rate 35 and somebody cancels, the person would still pay 35. Is that right?
They would pay 60.
They pay 60.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, I knew it wasn't.
That makes sense. But then you're also losing money because you thought it was gonna be a partner and you thought you'd get like $70.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was there, but there would be a lot of time where it's like, nah, they canceled late. I'm not going to charge you that because that's not fair to you.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
But then I was eating that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I started charging a cancellation fee, and now I have control of the refund.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's not about it's not about the money. It's about the control of keeping everything in front of you.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's not about the money, but I feel like also like your time is worth something. Like if somebody cancels, last minute at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, that's an hour that you could have plugged somebody in.
Exactly.
And then also it holds them accountable. Like that way they can't just dip out last second and, not have to pay.
And like I said, the parents that I work with, when I implemented the cancellation fee, they were cool with it.
Yeah.
A lot of them were like, finally.
Yeah.
But they were very cool with it and they understood. And I told them, I was like, this is not to just take money from you. It's just, I have to keep everything in front of me because there was certain times where I was trying to track payments. I was like, did you pay me? Did you not? Some people paid in cash. And I'm like, whose $20 is this?
Yeah, absolutely.
It just,
No, yeah. And I mean, I would argue probably a lot of the sports skills trainers, like, hitting coaches, maybe even like basketball trainers, volleyball trainers, like they probably, just pay me cash, pay me by the session. And then, but like you said, like if you're doing that 54 or you have 54 athletes, like that's a lot. Like, so you could probably get away with it with 5 to 10 athletes, but 54. Like,
and there was a rough patch where I caught it, and it wasn't intentional. It's not like the parents was trying to jip me some money.
Yeah.
But there was some times where I caught someone didn't pay me 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, how many of that did I miss?
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? When I really look into it, how many of that did I miss? And so that's when I was like, all right, I have to treat it more like a business because of where we've scaled to.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good to hear. So how do you find athletes to work with? Like, how have you built your clientele?
So at first it was majority just putting myself out there on Facebook. There's a Wichita Fast Pitch page that I'll post on. Like I initially would post on and be like, hey, I have Wednesday and Thursday open or whatever, and that's how it started.
Sweet.
And then as my name got out there more and more, now majority of the people who get a hold of me are, hey, I got your number from blah, blah, blah. Hey, I got your name from blah, blah, blah. And it's people that I work with currently. So
nice.
I would say now it's more word of mouth.
That's awesome. I think that's the best way to grow your business. Yeah. And I think that's like the ultimate compliment is when when somebody trusts you enough to send your name to a parent or something like that.
Yeah, and that's why even in conversation, I know I'm terrible about getting back to people because it takes a lot to, okay, what days can you work? What days can you, and right now I'm full, so I can't really take anyone right now, but it takes a lot to get back to people.
Yeah.
And I forgot where I was going with this, but it was really important. But anyway, it is a compliment, and that's why that's where I was going. At the end of our conversation with the person who's got a hold of me, I was like, hey, who gave my name so I can, I can thank them.
Yeah.
Because it's free, but they still took the time out to do it.
Absolutely.
Which is, that's sick.
That is, it really is. What about social media? Like I've seen, I follow you on social media. I feel like you have a pretty good social media game. Like how important do you think it is for you as softball hitting trainer?
I think it's very important. And we can even dig into the depths of, the kids. Social media is not only important for me, it's important for the kids to be shown off.
I agree.
If parents don't want to be shown off, they let me know, which I'm totally fine with. But nowadays the kids are all on social media. They like to see them on another page. They like to see themselves, being praised about, maybe an award that they got. They like that, and I have no problem showing that off.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a swing in the cage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so not only from a business standpoint, just from a hitter standpoint, that's what the kids like now.
I completely agree. And I feel like I'm the same way. Like I'll post videos of the kids working out or doing something. And I feel like it also builds that buy-in and that trust. Like they feel seen when they get posted on social media.
He sees the stuff I'm doing.
Yeah.
He notices. I was like, yeah, I noticed.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I notice a little bit too much sometimes.
Do you have any like social media advice for, like people that do softball hitting or anything like that?
Social media advice. Not for people who have a page, because I feel like your work will speak for itself. It doesn't have to be over edited stuff. It can just be clips, back to back clips, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But I do have social media advice for athletes, and it's watch what you post online. Because even if you delete it, it can be uncovered. And college coaches do look at the stuff that you post online. So that is my only social media advice is just be mindful of what you post. Because it can be uncovered.
I think that's going to have to be the short that I make for this this podcast. Because athletes do need to understand that. Yeah. It is very true. Let's talk about your partnership with Shields. Like I know we both have
Shields. I love those guys.
I also love Shields, and I'm blessed to have a partnership. And it kind of started because I saw that you were partnered with them, and I even kind of threw your name out, and they love you. But
Shields, they're sick.
Yeah, talk about that partnership.
They're awesome. So it started, and this is why I couldn't get you the lady's name. It started last year. I tried to go through one of my guys who were working there. He's not working there anymore. But I tried to go through him to be like, hey, is there can we do something? Because I like to work with people. I like to collaborate. I like to do stuff, which I actually have to talk to you about that off camera because I haven't released it yet, but I got some plans for stuff I want to do next year.
Sweet.
And I feel like you're the perfect guy for it. But yeah, it started last year. And that ended up just not going through, and that's why I couldn't get you that lady's name, because I also don't even think she's there. I could be wrong. Honestly,
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn's there now.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I did was I ended up commenting on one of their pictures last year, whatever, this year, and I was like, hey, want to work together? Blah blah blah. And then I ended up just going to the baseball section and just talking to. I don't even know. It was. I don't know all their names, but it wasn't Gavin, which shout out to Gavin. That's my guy right there. He's got a sick perm.
Okay.
It's a perm mullet. It's the sickest. So shout out to Gavin. But it wasn't him that I talked to. It was, I don't know, I think it was one of the older guys. But from there, ended up getting in contact with Jocelyn, and then it kind of just from there.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's cool. And that's cool. I just literally started with a face-to-face conversation, and I think that's so rare these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for networking? Because it seems like you secured that partnership just through networking. Do you have any advice for networking? And there it is, the Shields logo right there. That's cool.
Yeah, and yours has this too. Your shirt.
Oh, sweet.
Too.
Awesome.
Networking? No, honestly, I think I don't even feel like I can give any advice because I don't really know. I think just be real.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Be straight up. You don't have to be another person to work with someone.
Yeah.
I feel like if you do, I don't feel like it's the right partnership.
Yeah.
But I always want to push stuff for Shields just because I've met all of them, even though I don't know all their names, and they're just literally the nicest people.
Absolutely.
I have to shout out Gavin again.
Yeah.
Because most recently, one of my girls had a little mishap with her bat grip. She bought a bat and bat grip from them, and it was a little off and stuff. And so he said, when I get back, come in and I'll take care of her. She got in, replaced the grip for the one she actually wanted, and it was all good. Seamless, no hassle. So, they're great people. They're all very, very nice.
Yeah.
No matter what department you go to.
Absolutely.
They're
Yeah.
very nice. But yeah, we dealt with Jocelyn. Jocelyn's awesome.
Absolutely.
She's a saint. Gavin, Jace, they're sick.
No,
They're
yeah.
just sick people.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, shout out to Shields. I mean, because they've done a lot for me as well. Donated equipment, donated gift cards.
Gift cards,
yeah,
the gift card.
It's awesome. And yeah, and it's also I think they really support small businesses, and it's really cool to see.
I just like to do sick stuff, you know.
Yeah,
I like to just work with people.
I remember when I saw that, I was like, "That is big time that you got that." And so that's awesome.
The gift cards are awesome, though. That was super cool.
Yeah. So, like, what age? You kind of talked about your age, like you have a 10, 11-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Is like how young will you train and how old? Like, do you have any college kids that you work with?
Yes, I actually have one of my kids that I used to coach. She actually just recently came back. And I've been working with her this summer. I had one girl, shout out to Addie. She just signed with Allen.
The JUCO?
Yeah.
Allen Community College.
Allen Community College.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just forget everything nowadays. But yeah, shout out to Addie. She just signed with them, so she'll be playing for them this upcoming fall. The lowest or the youngest age that I will do is probably 10.
Okay.
However, Aria, the girl that threw the perfect game in nationals, when she started, I think she was either 8 or 9, and that started because I was just trying to get kids.
Yeah, nice.
It bloomed into something that's like, okay, this kid's dedicated. She works on her own. The parents work with her on their own. So I will take as long as the kids work.
Yeah.
I won't do it if all they do is, let's just say an 8-year-old wants to hit, and that's the only time they hit. I won't do that, because then it just becomes, I'm just taking your money at that point, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, so this next section I call Hot Takes.
Oh.
I'm excited for this section. Do you view other softball trainers as competition?
Nah, I don't. I think at the end of the day, we all have a duty to develop the kids.
Yeah.
And I don't really view anyone as competition, to be honest with you. I think as long as we're all on the same path of getting these kids to the next level, whether the next level is high school, whether it's varsity, whether it's college, I think as long as we all have that same goal, I don't view anyone as competition.
Very well said. I had on here like sports performance coaches, club coaches, but you would say the same thing, like not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
No, it's honestly it's been more of a battle, because some coaches they're stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
So it's not really competition. It's more, hey, how like let's work together on developing this kid, instead of
completely
you saying my way or the highway. Because I don't feel like anyone wins from that. You know what I mean?
I couldn't agree with more. Because I think sometimes people view me as sports performance coach as competition, but it's like, how can we collaborate?
Yeah.
To help this athlete.
Yeah. So. You say it's about the kid.
Yeah.
But then you're mad at me.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you mad at me? I didn't do nothing.
Now, this one is another one. So, do you believe that parents view skill training, so like hitting a softball for like what you do, to be more important than sports performance training, like strength conditioning, speed, agility?
So like the skill over the
skill,
physical
yes,
part?
Yes.
Honestly, I don't think that this is gonna be a hot take. I don't think they take either very seriously.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say very seriously. As serious as they should. It should be that way.
Yeah.
Because one of the reasons that I got into being a hitting coach was I felt like everyone was undertrained. Whether it's just the knowledge of the game, or whether it's just the physical part of the skill. I just felt like everyone was undertrained, and I didn't feel like it was a priority to them. I felt like summer ball with my friends was a priority, Yeah. So I don't think they think one is more important than the other. However, nowadays I feel like everyone's starting to realize how important both are.
Absolutely.
Whether it's lifting or whether it's getting in the cage. I feel like nowadays it's been a lot better of, okay, I need to start putting in extra work.
Yeah. No, that's well said. I mean, the game is changing, and it's like, we both probably have our personal biases. I mean, they're both important. Skill work is important, but I feel like also having the strength and the speed to to swing is
Absolutely.
just as important.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so you mentioned like you don't think parents really take it that seriously, and I kind of would agree with that. Do you like you've been in Hawaii, you've maybe been in Arizona. Do you feel like Kansas athletes are behind?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. Arizona's filled with academies, like literal baseball schools, softball schools. I know you got Summers Method out in Florida, which is they have the hitting doctor along with Summers Method, D1 athletes, pro athletes go to train. I feel like we are behind.
Absolutely.
I feel like we are behind, and that's no knock to anyone.
Yeah.
Personally, individually,
Yeah.
just as a whole, I feel like we are behind, and I feel like if we were go to Arizona, California, Mississippi, Texas, it would be a little bit of a wake up call.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's just. I don't think it's just softball. I think that's all sports across the board. We're behind, and like you mentioned, I think it's we don't have a ton of good facilities like training resources, strength conditioning wise. I don't think we have a ton, and then also I would say like skill training wise, like we have people, but I don't know if we have the right people that actually truly care about results for the athlete. And so, it is sad. I think we are behind, but I know people like you and I were working to change that.
I think we are behind, but I think we're heading in the right direction.
I hope so. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like we're not, but then, then other days that it does feel like there's strides we're making. So
that was a hot take.
That was a hot take.
Damn, Dave.
What are your thoughts on like sports performance training as a skill trainer? Like, do you have any input on how important you think strength conditioning or speed and agility, those kinds of things are for your athletes?
I think it's very important. I think it's very important because I didn't get into the weight room until my freshman year of college. I just solely relied on speed. I solely relied on just the small ball stuff that a lot of people kind of didn't take care of. And it wasn't until, the wake up call in Arizona where I saw everyone was squatting, 4 plates, squatting 3 plates, like nothing.
Yeah.
When I was like, okay, I am behind.
Yeah.
I think it's very important, and it goes hand in hand with the skill stuff.
It really does.
Because when it comes to swinging a bat, if you got to worry about how heavy the bat is, we're worrying about the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not even worried about hitting the ball. We're just trying to get this bat around,
Yeah.
I think it's very important.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, I think more parents and even athletes are starting to realize that of how important that base of physicality is.
Absolutely.
Important.
Now, well said. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard that story of how people haven't started taking lifting seriously until they got to college. And, I think you can get away with not lifting in high school because like the competition is not as steep. But when you get to college, everybody's good. Everybody's fast.
Everybody's good.
A lot of people are strong. Like, so I feel like if you're not getting started early, like you're going to be behind once you get to college.
I agree.
This will be a good one.
Man.
Do you think that pushy parents do more harm than good?
Absolutely. And it's what I've found is, and this, I feel like I said this earlier in the pod too. I feel like the pushy parents are the ones who don't get it, who don't understand that it's more than just the sport.
Absolutely.
There's when you're training people, you got to see how they're doing mentally. The stars don't have to align perfectly every single time, but sometimes there's other things that contribute to lack of performance, lack of productivity, and the pushy parents, what I found, are the ones who don't understand that.
I completely agree.
And I think it kind of ruins it for the kid. And I'll tell you what, it's like therapy sometimes to the kids.
Absolutely.
When they get in that cage,
they
let it out sometimes. And I hear what they say, and it's cool.
I'm sure we've both worked with our fair share of athletes, that have maybe a little bit of pushy parents. And I'm not trying to throw shade at the parents. I just think maybe they're just not educated.
Absolutely not.
And especially I'm sure you get it. You might have a lot of former athlete parents like, oh, well, back in my day, this is how I did things. And it's like, things have changed. We're in a different generation. But it's also just like, I feel like
so you're talking about from the context of like they've done it before.
that is one example I'd give. One example
So
I'd
from
give.
that context, if it's coming from a parent that's done it before, not very often do I see them being pushy. Most of the time, they're being realistic, in my opinion. In my sport.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, hitting takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It's hard to hit a damn ball.
Yeah.
You know?
Fair enough.
What from what I've seen is if they've done it before, they have maybe not like the most decorated background, but a solid background in understanding. In our world, I feel like a lot of time they're very realistic. Not all of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but some of them, more
Yeah.
often than not.
I guess maybe some of the parents that come to mind is like, number one is like the parent that wants it for their kid, but the kid doesn't want it as much as the parent wants it.
I know. Yeah. I've also run into a couple of those, but those usually weed themselves out pretty quick. Those don't really stay with me for very long. I don't know if it's something that I do or something that the parent does, but those they usually weed themselves out.
That, I think also the unrealistic expectations, like parents. I mean, I feel like we talked earlier, like playing a college sport at any level is a blessing, but it's like the parents that think their kid is Division I material, and it's like, okay, well, they have a JUCO offer, they have an NAIA offer. Like sometimes we've got to educate them and say, like, this, any opportunity to play is a blessing.
And we going back to the beginning of the podcast because we both agreed on this. There's dogs everywhere.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. You can go to a JUCO in Washington State, dogs.
Yep.
You can go to a D1 in Florida, you damn sure bet there's going to be dogs.
Absolutely.
Just wherever you go in college.
Yeah.
Everyone is good. Everyone is good.
Yeah. Playing college sport at any level is a blessing.
Yes.
So do you allow parents to watch sessions?
No.
Really?
No.
That's probably a good thing.
So at first I did.
Okay.
At first I did. And the one rule that I told people or told parents were if I'm coaching, don't talk to the kid.
Absolutely.
Don't just I got 1 hour with them a week to make them better.
Absolutely.
Please don't talk to them. Please don't coach them. Please don't whatever. And more recently than not, I'm not going to name it because I hope some of my parents watch this, like, I'm not going to name anyone personally, but I think we've just gotten a little comfortable. And, there was a lot of times where the kids weren't locked into the session.
Oh, yeah.
And then I get them coming back the next week. It's like, oh, I did terrible this week. It's like, huh?
Oh,
crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But no, I don't. I used to, but not anymore.
No, that's good.
Sometimes if they're new, I'll let them in.
Yeah.
But then I usually kick them out like the third or fourth session.
Yeah, that my favorite parents are the ones that just drop their kids off. Maybe stay in the car or come back and pick them up.
Yeah, we have a little lobby area.
Yeah.
Which, Charlie, sorry for turning on the AC so much. We have a little lobby area that the parents will wait.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them sometimes because it's hot, and some of them like to watch.
Okay.
They like to learn. They like to watch, and they like to hear the stuff that I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's gotten to the point where it's like the kid's not even paying attention to me sometimes. 100%. So it's like, I'm not gonna fight for attention around here.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I feel like number one, the kid is not very loose when the parent's watching, like, super close, And then the worst is when they're yelling stuff at the kid from the side. Number one, it's like kind of disrespectful to us as coaches, but then it also is just like it creates a stressful environment for the kid.
I think the one that gets me is, how we talked about the whole burnout thing, and you invest so much stuff emotionally. The one that gets me is when kids doing good in the cage. We're working, we're building, we're working. Whether it's on the confidence, we're building with the confidence and whatnot. And then from the side, the parent goes, well, we just need to see that in the game now.
Yeah.
I'm like, you realize you just undid that entire hour of what we just worked on. It's like, but it's little comments like that where I don't think the parent's doing it. They're not doing it on purpose and they're not trying to degrade the kid.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't understand what you just did.
Yeah.
You just undid that. Your kid hears you.
Yeah. 100%.
They hear you and they understand. And now they're going to start to press. And then whenever anyone presses, it never ends well. So I was like, get out.
My argument too is a lot of those kids that are just being pushed so hard by their parents, they're going to burn out. If their goal is to make it to college, I think they have a high chance of burning out in college, because then they don't have mom or dad constantly pushing them to get there or to play. And I feel like that's when kids will just decide to quit on their own.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I do agree with that.
So we'll start to wrap it up a little bit. Do you have any like hobbies outside of work? I mean, actually, I don't think I asked this question. I'm just curious. So between your full-time job and CAGE2, how many hours a week do you think you work?
We're the month of June. We're pushing close to 70 some hours a week.
That's crazy.
Between work and lessons.
That's insane. Yeah. I guess you gotta. I mean, do you feel like you love your day job?
No.
But you love the coaching.
I love the coaching.
Yeah,
I love the coaching. And if anyone from my day job sees this, it's no hate, but who loves their day job? Yeah. Let's be real. Unless unless it's that. But
I feel like it's easy for me to work 70 hours a week because I love it. Yeah.
But like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
When it comes to my day job, I don't love it. Do I hate it? Do I absolutely hate it? No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
But it pays the bills.
Yeah.
It does what it needs to do,
I'm just curious, do you feel like you could make a full-time living from CAGE2 alone?
I think so.
I think
I think I can.
Nice.
I think I can. And I've had a couple parents ask me when I'm going to go full-time with it, when I'm going to get my own facility.
Yeah.
And, that might be in the works. That might not be, which would be sick.
That would be sick.
But my dream and my goal would be to have a place to call my own that my kids can come to and do all of their training. Whether it's if they want to lift, go lift. Yeah. If they want to run on a treadmill, go run on a treadmill. If they want to hit, let's hit.
That's awesome.
That's my goal is if you work with me, you have a spot that you can get all of your training done.
That's awesome. I feel like Wichita does need that central hub. Or not, I mean, Wichita area, Derby.
Yeah, I'm in Derby, and there's another hitting facility down the road.
D1 Kinetics. No, D3 Kinetics. One of those
I heard of them. I kind of heard of them. I don't know who they are, though. I emailed them asking what their rates would be. They never got back to me.
Gotcha.
But then there's the old strike zone.
Yes, Kinetics is
Kinetics, yeah. Kinetics. Yeah. They're right down the road from us, but I think they only have a turf area and cages. They don't have like a weight area.
Yeah, they don't.
But that would be my goal. That would be
because right now you basically just rent space from SpinTech.
Yep. I pay half the rent at SpinTech. Charlie. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. I rented a cage from Charlie, and she's been good to me.
Yeah.
I have my lane that's pretty much just my lane.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's been solid. She's been very accommodating, I can say, because there will be times I run over, which is more often than not.
Yeah.
And she won't charge me extra.
Yeah. And so you're just running by the hour, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Awesome. So yeah, I guess we'll talk about the future goals for CAGE2. Like, what does that look like? You mentioned, is it owning a facility? Is it hiring coaches?
Right now, I'm in the process of it's very unofficial, but I've started the process of delegating work to others. So I just hired 3 kids.
Sweet.
Brooklyn. I hired Brooklyn. She's gonna come in on like some Wednesdays, set up for me. She's gonna help me run a couple drills when I have the partner sessions. I just hired Ryan. Her name's Ryan Parsons. She goes to Mulvane High School. She's actually going to be a front tosser for me.
Okay. Because
lately, the front toss has been terrible. And no one's getting strikes. Yeah. But I just hired her today. What is today? Third? I just hired her yesterday. Okay. But she's playing right now. She's playing in a tournament. And then Monroe Alderson, she's going to start doing some of the social media stuff.
Sweet. That's awesome.
She's going to come in. She's going to take some pictures for me. I'm going to give her my camera to take pictures. But yeah, I'm starting to give
that's
stuff
cool. Delegate,
out, and I'm gonna pay them too. I'm gonna make sure that their time is worth it. But future stuff is, and this is where I got to talk to you on the side. Is I do have some plans that everyone in the Wichita Derby area could benefit from.
Yeah,
and it goes into the whole next level thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some stuff that I want to do. I've already started laying the groundwork behind the scenes. Talking to some colleges, talking to some recruiters and stuff.
Cool.
I don't know how the first one will go.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, without saying too much, because I do want to keep it a little bit of under wraps for a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like everyone could benefit from it. I'll
there you go.
I feel like everyone could benefit from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think you could be a key role in that for helping out with what it would be. So
yeah. Do you have any hobbies outside of work?
Oh, I just sold my dirt bike.
Oh, the dirt bike.
It's so sad watching it drive off.
Yeah.
I just sold that, but I want to get another one. I like to go golf. I don't golf. I participate, but I haven't gone golfing in a hot minute. And I told myself this summer, I'm gonna get out there. Oh, I'm gonna take at least a week off per month, or a Friday off. Has not happened.
I bet
has not happened.
Yeah.
But I love riding my dirt bike. Honestly, sometimes I like just being home.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Golf, ride my dirt bike. There's no beach here, so I can't go to the beach.
Unfortunately, sadly.
That's about it. I've been getting into some shopping stuff lately, which is bad. That's not good.
You ever, when's the last time you've been in back home in Hawaii?
2023 Christmas time. No. Last year about June-ish, my grandma passed away.
Okay.
I think it was June-ish. Oh my God. November, June-ish, something like that. Oh yeah, my grandma passed away. So I had to, unfortunately, it wasn't a planned trip, but it's always good to see family and stuff.
Yeah.
Bring you, kind of ground you again before you start the grind all over,
Absolutely. Do you still play softball or baseball these days?
Oh no, I'm retired.
No, you're retired? Okay.
I'm retired. Out of college, or when CAGE2 wasn't a thing,
Yeah.
I was playing on the side.
Yeah.
Ended up playing for, going back home and playing too and whatnot. But no, now I try to people try to drag me out there, but I'm like, dude, usually on a Saturday, I don't want to be running around. I saw you got into it. You started playing?
No, not really. I should, but my girlfriend plays for a recreational softball team, and so I'm kind of on the roster. Like, I haven't really been able to play because usually I have sessions that night, and so I'm just like a backup reserve, and so
hey, let's go.
I know, but I might need to kit you up for some lessons.
Oh
yeah.
Oh man.
So
yeah, no, I don't play anymore. I don't know if I could last through a tournament. I really don't know.
How old are you right now?
29.
29. Okay.
I'm old, man. I'm an old buck.
I feel the same way. Okay. Last thing is, where can we find out more about CAGE2?
We're on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. It's under CAGE2 Hitting. CAGE2 Hitting.
Sweet.
Yeah. Pretty much everything. I like to keep the content the same on all of them, but you'll find more stuff on like TikTok and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, all three of those: Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you joining us today.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know we've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah, we were talking for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the first day we've met, and first day pod. Let's do it.
Absolutely. So appreciate you all for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.